Okay, so what do we need to do? What should we do? What's the fix, Joel? Okay, you've told me about the problems. Well, what's the fix? Well, here's the fix. We got to fix two parts of this whole transfer thing. We got to fix the timing or the calendar as well as the supply side. Okay, so the pool of players. And this is important. This is very important. In order to maintain some of the things that are so, I say, inherently good about our sport and about developing and about overcoming obstacles and about developing as a player, as well as retaining agency and autonomy over your own life and career, I think that we need some parameters. All right. It's obvious to me that the calendar needs to be fixed. We need to separate out when high school players make their decision and when transfer players make their decision. We should not be doing that at the same time. That fix needs to happen immediately. I personally don't think that we need an early signing day. We don't. Either move it way before the season or move it after the holiday. And that would be fine for me. Everyone could still enroll early if they want to. You can still commit. This extra, like 1 month, basically, that we give them, 2 months, used to be early February. I just have no idea why we now need to be in the portal and in high school recruiting at the same time. I think it breeds terrible decisions, which then breeds more transferring because you make decisions based on incomplete information about the roster and about the makeup of that school. And then you get there and you realize, hey, this wasn't what I thought it was. Why? Because it was a mess when I decided to sign here and make this decision. And then they end up transferring and we're right in this same kind of wheel and mess that I was just talking about of lack of a development and commitment towards a school. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, you separate out high school recruiting and transfer portal. I think that that's a must. Again, and the key part of this is that you allow for better decisions. So this is not just, oh man, the coaches are going to breathe a lot better and sleep better at night. Yeah, that might be the case, but this is mostly for the player. This is a protection for the player so that he can make the best decision he can possibly make with all the information at his fingertips. Then we get to the pool, the supply side of college football, okay? These players and this is a little bit harder. And the reason is because I believe we need to claw back some of the freedoms that we gave the players. I just told you earlier that it went from 2 ways to transfer, and then in 2021, now there's 3 ways to transfer. I think we should go back to 2 ways to transfer. I don't believe that we need to have a free one-time exception and you can transfer anytime that you're a graduate. I think that it should just be you get one transfer. Okay. And it doesn't matter about the graduation. It's just you get one time to transfer. Now, if there's a hardship, a coaching change, or something medically, mental health, that's a different story. So again, 2 of the 3, I want a one-time transfer and I want a hardship waiver. I just don't think that we need the third way. We don't need players having 3 bites at the free agency apple in 5 years. I just don't believe that that benefits anybody. Okay. Now you could say, well, no, it definitely benefits the player. Well, not exactly, because again, too much dessert in a short period of time is a bad thing. We need to look out for the development of both the person and the player to some extent, while allowing them the autonomy and freedom to go make NIL, monetize their name, image, and likeness, and have some freedom of where they should be playing and find those opportunities on the field. So what would that look like? Well, I do think that we should move it down to 2 ways to transfer. And then I think that there should be some level of commitment similar to what the graduation transfer was, but I think it should be shorter. Think of, I don't know, commit to like 20 months. If you're committing as a high school player, I think there should be 24-month commitment where you cannot transfer within those first few months unless there's an extenuating circumstance like a hardship waiver. Okay. And this would allow the player to start to be developed. And the program would be incentivized because they knew like, hey, this guy is going to be here. So if we pour into him, Maybe we can push him past these areas in which he struggles in his first 24 months, and maybe we can retain him. We can develop him. We're going to actually get a return on the investment of pouring into him physically, mentally, and as a player. It would also narrow the focus of everybody in college football as to who can actually transfer, which would mean that you would have a cleaner idea of what rosters looked like around the country. Because you would know, like, okay, he's eligible to transfer, he's not. What does that quarterback room look like? What does that running back room look like? Again, more complete information. It wouldn't be just a total free-for-all. I think that would be better for the player. They would be making better decisions for themselves, for their family, and for the opportunities that they would have on the field. Again, a little bit of dessert is great. A lot of it at once is not. We need some parameters, which leads us then to what came up this week from Charlie Baker. Okay? Charlie Baker, the new head of the NCAA, basically proposed a new subdivision, a new division of college football, which would allow Division I schools for the first time to pay their athletes in ways that are not tied to educational resources. All right. A lot of language to just basically say he wants to create a new subdivision that would allow the schools to enter into essentially employment contracts with their players. And a lot of people are like, good, great. All right, here we go. I'm one of them. And the reason is because we already do this. We already do this. Again, this would just be changing the language of what's already happening. You really think that these players aren't quote unquote employees of the schools? What do you think collectives are? They tweet like once for their name, image, and likeness collective dollars. The schools hire people who are going out and raising this money. Okay? They are attached. They work together. It is their money. Why? Because they're going after the same donors that they would go after for regular donations to the, quote, program. It's the same pool of money. All right, so we're doing this already. There's no reason not to call it what it is, which is what Charlie Baker is basically proposing. And once you do that, here's the kicker, and then this is where it gets good. You can start to collectively bargain with that body of players. So once we stop calling collective dollars NIL, which they aren't, let's be real honest, and we actually call it what it is, which is the program's paying the players, then we can collectively bargain with that group of players, whether it's the female athletes or the male athletes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which sport. And once we can collectively bargain, now we can set these guardrails that make dessert great again. That's what I'm talking about. Now we're not eating chocolate cake 4 times a day. Okay? And all the things that are, I would say, the unintended poor consequences, even to the players of this freedom and autonomy, can get limited in a way where they still have those opportunities. They still get paid. They still monetize their name, image, and likeness. They still find their opportunities elsewhere via their one-time transfer. And yet they can also get through hard things. They can make information and make decisions based on information that is complete. Again, I don't see the downside in this. And I hope you're following along. What Charlie Baker is proposing is already going on. We just don't define it as such. Defining collective dollars for players as NIL, name, image, and likeness, is a lie. They don't do anything for those dollars. Schools are already paying players. It's already happening. Let's call it that so that we can enter into a collectively bargained agreement that will benefit, not hinder, but benefit both sides. To me, it's very clear. The portal and NIL have been a great addition to college football, a great addition. And I'm highly in favor of both. But like dessert for my 11, 9, and 6-year-old, as much as they want it, They don't get it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We save it to be special so that it doesn't ruin our health. It's the same thing with NIL. It's the same thing with transfer portal. We can do this, folks. College football can do this and put the guardrails on and put the limitations on that will benefit everybody. Programs will benefit. Coaches will benefit. Players will benefit. Everybody will benefit. And I think that that ultimately is the goal. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.